Ever wonder what it takes to get into the world's top universities? We're talking about places like MIT, Caltech, Cambridge, the absolute best of the best. For most, it's a dream. For a group of Filipino students back in the 1960s, it felt like an impossible one. They were brilliant, passionate, and ready to take on the world. But there was a problem. No matter how good their grades were, how glowing their recommendations, the doors to these elite institutions remained shut. Rejection after rejection. It seemed like the world had already made up its mind about them. But this isn't a story about rejection. It's a story about what happens when you refuse to take no for an answer. It's the story of the miracle of the Philippine Science High School. Let's rewind to the mid-1960s. The Philippines had just established a brand new school, the Philippine Science High School, or as it's affectionately known, PSA. This wasn't just any high school. It was a national project, a place designed to find and nurture the country's most gifted young minds in science and technology. The students were selected through brutally difficult exams, and the curriculum was intense, far more advanced than anything else available at the time. They were, without a doubt, the cream of the crop. As the first few batches of students approached graduation, they set their sights high. They applied to the most prestigious universities in the United States and Europe. These were kids with perfect academic records, winners of national science fairs, future leaders in the making. They sent off their applications filled with hope and ambition. And then the letters started coming back. Thin envelopes, rejection after rejection after rejection. It was baffling. These students were geniuses. Why were they being turned away? The universities didn't give clear reasons. Some hinted that their high school curriculum, coming from a developing country, might not be rigorous enough. They questioned if a diploma from the Philippines could truly prepare a student for the demands of a place like MIT. It was a classic case of being judged not by their individual merit, but by the reputation of their home country. It was a frustrating, demoralizing, and deeply unfair situation. The faculty at PSA were heartbroken for their students. They knew how brilliant these kids were. They knew they could compete with anyone from anywhere in the world. They just needed a chance to prove it. So they came up with a bold, almost audacious plan. If the universities wouldn't believe their grades, maybe they'd believe something else. Something universal. Something undeniable. They decided to take on the American standardized tests. Specifically, they targeted the College Board SAT and its achievement tests. This was a huge gamble. These exams were designed for American students, steeped in American culture and context. The Filipino students had never even seen these tests before. They had no prep courses, no review books, none of the resources that American students take for granted. All they had were their brains, their determination, and the world-class education they'd received at PSA. The school managed to get a hold of the test materials. A group of the top graduating students were chosen to take the exams under strict official conditions. The air in the testing room was thick with tension. This wasn't just about getting into college anymore. This was about defending their honor, the honor of their school, and the intellectual capacity of their entire nation. They were carrying the hopes of a generation on their young shoulders. The students sat for the exams. Math, science, English. They tackled questions about American history and literature. Concepts they had to figure out on the fly. They worked through complex physics problems and advanced calculus equations. They poured every ounce of their knowledge and intellect onto those answer sheets, and then they waited. When the results came back, nobody could believe their eyes. It wasn't just that they did well. It was that they didn't just pass, they dominated. One student after another scored in the 99th percentile. Perfect scores of 800 started popping up in math and science. It was unheard of. These kids from a small, relatively unknown high school in the Philippines weren't just matching their American counterparts. They were outscoring them, often by huge margins. The most legendary story to come out of this was from a student named Jose Buchdelice Jr., who would later become a famous writer. He reportedly got a perfect score on the advanced math exam. When the results were processed, the testing service computers in the U.S. allegedly flagged his score as an error. The machine couldn't comprehend that a student, especially one from outside the U.S., could achieve such a perfect result. They assumed it had to be a glitch. The PAISE administrators bundled up these incredible test scores and sent them off to the very same universities that had previously rejected their students. They attached them to the applications with a simple, implicit message: "You doubted us. Look at this. Now, what do you say?" The response was immediate and overwhelming. The thin rejection letters were replaced by thick acceptance packets. MIT, Caltech, Harvard, Stanford, Cambridge, the floodgates opened. They weren't just offering admission. They were offering full scholarships, hailing these students as some of the most promising applicants they had ever seen. The myth of Filipino intellectual inferiority was shattered in one fell swoop. The miracle of PAISE became a legend. It proved that brilliance knows no nationality, and that talent can blossom anywhere, as long as it's given a chance to grow. This story from the 60s had a lasting impact. It established the Philippine Science High School as a world-class institution, putting it on the map for university recruiters globally. For decades since, PAISE graduates have been consistently accepted into the world's top universities, becoming renowned scientists, engineers, doctors, and innovators. They became pioneers, opening doors not just for future PAISE students, but for brilliant students from all over the Philippines and other developing nations. They forced the gatekeepers of elite education to look beyond their biases and recognize talent wherever it could be found. So, what's the lesson here? It's a powerful reminder that you should never let anyone define your potential based on where you come from. When faced with a closed door, sometimes you don't need to knock politely. Sometimes you need to find a way to kick it down with the undeniable force of your own excellence. The story of these Filipino students is a testament to the human spirit's refusal to be underestimated. It's a story of turning rejection into a revolution. Thanks so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories you might not have heard before. See you in the next one.